What would your life look like if you stopped living inside the limits you've set for yourself? I don't mean recklessly ignoring wisdom or common sense. I mean the invisible limits, the self-imposed ceilings that you've mistaken for reality. Here's the truth. The biggest limits we face usually aren't outside of us, they're inside. And that's the question we're tackling today. What happens when you live without those limits? Hi, I'm Michael Hales with M Squared Leadership Consulting. This video is part of our ongoing series on self-limiting beliefs, what they are, how they form, and most importantly, how to break free from them. You know, over the past few weeks, we've looked at how beliefs shape your self-image, your results, and even your leadership. And today we're pulling it all together. We're asking, what becomes possible when you stop letting those beliefs define what you can and can't do? Let's start with what your self-imposed limits are costing you. When you accept limits as truth, you live smaller than you were designed to. You take fewer risks. You play it safe. You choose comfort over growth. Now, the tragedy isn't that you fail, it's that you never find out what you're truly capable of. And here's the sobering part. Those limits ripple out. If you're a leader, your team inherits them from you. If you're a parent, your kids absorb them. When you play small, you influence the people around you to do the same. Now let's look at the other side of the coin. What happens when you live without limits? Well, you discover hidden capacity. Most people operate far below their actual potential. And the moment you refuse to accept, I can't, you begin to uncover strength, creativity, and resilience you didn't know was there. Like muscles underused at the gym, your capacity grows only when it's stretched. Next, you redefine what's possible. Living without limits reframes the question from can I to how can I? That single shift changes everything. It puts you in problem-solving mode instead of defeat mode. And thirdly, you inspire others. Living beyond limits isn't just for you. Your courage becomes a permission slip for others. When your team sees you take risks, they believe they can too. And you start living fully. This one is personal. Living without limits doesn't mean every attempt works out. You'll still fail sometimes, but it does mean you stop letting fear dictate your choices. You get the joy of knowing you gave life your best shot and you went all in, no holding back. When I left my federal career and started considering starting my own consulting business, I carried plenty of self-limiting beliefs. This is too risky. You don't have the credentials to do this. You're too late to the game. But here's what I've learned. Every time I act in defiance of those limits, whether it's launching a new mastermind, recording these videos, or maybe submitting a proposal to a company that seems out of reach, I find myself living at a level I didn't think was possible. And the people around me, my family, my clients, my network, they feel the benefits too. So how do you start living without limits? I'll give you 3 steps. Number 1, you have to spot the ceiling. Notice where you've told yourself, I can't, or that's just who I am. That's usually the sign of a limit. Number 2, test the boundary. Take one action, just one, that contradicts the belief. If you think, I'm not a speaker, volunteer to lead a presentation at work. If you think, I'm not good with numbers, commit to learning just one financial skill. Number 3, build momentum. Living without limits is not about giant leaps. It's about small daily steps that compound. Each time you challenge a limit, the ceiling moves higher. And leaders, hear me on this. When you model living without limits, your team starts to see what's possible. A leader who embraces growth creates a culture of growth. A leader who refuses to let fear set the boundaries unlocks innovation, unlocks creativity, unlocks courage in their people. Living without limits isn't just personal development, it's leadership development. So here's your challenge for the week. Write down one limit you've been living under, something that you've accepted as truth about yourself, and then ask, what would it look like if this limit weren't real? And finally, take one step this week that moves you beyond it. Here's the bottom line. The danger isn't in failing when you live without limits. It's in never discovering what you could have achieved. Stretching yourself isn't optional if you want growth. It's the only way forward. Hey, if today's message resonated with you, I invite you to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who might need the reminder that their limits aren't the end of their story.